Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 2 of the Monday Q&A, so let's knock this out. First question. Jason, really digging your channel lately. Thanks for all the great info. You are a big proponent of face pulls. I train at home and have basic equipment. Bench, power rack, and some dumbbells. Any ideas on doing face pulls with free weights, minimum equipment? Thanks. Get you bands. Bands are really cheap. You'd be surprised. You get a set of bands for probably less than 20 bucks. Wrap the band around the post on your rack, put your foot up on it, and do your face pulls with bands. Very simple solution, brother. And that's actually how I do mine at the gym. I do them with bands, not with cables. All right, next question. I do some ruck walking as part of my training and love doing it. But the problem is I really only feel it in my traps and not in my legs, even with hills. Is there any way I can modify this so I get more leg activation? Walking with a rucksack, if you're actually strong and you train your lower body, shouldn't be fatiguing to your legs. It should be basic conditioning that builds your stamina up and your conditioning. You shouldn't be feeling a burn or a pump in your legs from doing it. If you are, then your legs probably aren't strong enough. So don't worry about that. Now, as far as feeling it in your traps, just because you're pulling all the weight down on your traps, you might want to consider changing to a backpack that's a little better of a harness that straps across your chest a bit better. You can look into that a bit. And you can find some pretty reasonably priced if you look around. So that's more the issue there. It's just the way that the load is distributed with the type of backpack or ruck that you're using. All right, next question. Hey Jason, I'm hoping you're doing well. I hope you're doing well also. I watched your videos about omega-3s and fish oil, but I didn't understand one thing, or at least I didn't read among the lines. If you're eating flaxseed and flaxseed oil on a daily and a good balanced diet with whole grains, do you still need fish oil for optimal health and performance? And if someone decides to supplement fish oil, would flaxseed and flax oil be counterproductive? No, if you're getting enough flax oil, you need to go do some research on the conversions. You basically are going to need to get a pretty substantial amount of it. You're not going to be able to convert more than about 30% of the actual omega-3 in the flax oil into EPA and DHA. And for some people, it could be as low as 10%. So if you're trying to get like a gram of EPA and DHA, you might need 10 grams of the actual omega-3 in there. And that can equal a lot of oil in your diet and a lot of supplementation with oil to get there. And remember, you need to drink flaxseed fairly cold. You don't want to cook it. That breaks down the fatty acids in it that you want. So just remember that if you're not going to do fish oil, you need a pretty high quantity of omega-3 from plant sources like flax oil. Now, the thing to remember, combining the two together may not give you many benefits other than just adding fat calories. If you're already supplementing with fish oil every day, throwing flax oil in, you're just throwing in an energy source at that point, because once you're getting sufficient EPA and DHA from the fish oil, your body's going to stop converting the ALA in the flax oil into the other omega-3s that you want. So yeah, you're losing a lot of the benefits. It's not counterproductive. Just remember, you're just adding in extra fat calories at that point, which may or may not be conducive to your goals. All right, next question. Low-calorie keto dieting and BCAA+EAA usage to combat catabolism. Is there anything wrong with consuming them all day, or will their insulin response be detrimental to ketosis despite the zero carb intake? Actually, you're going to find branched-chain amino acids don't produce any significant insulin response. I mean, they can produce a little bit, but we're not talking about a lot. If you're talking about taking 4 or 5 grams of a free-form amino acid, the insulin response on that is going to be negligible. And it's not worth really worrying about. And remember, it's elevated blood sugar that puts you out of ketosis, not the actual insulin response. And it's pretty unlikely that the branched-chain amino acids are really converting into glucose at any real appreciable rate, particularly if you need them to make up for a possible deficient protein intake. So no, I really wouldn't worry about that. Now, whether it's going to be beneficial or not for catabolism is really hard to say. It's going to depend upon a lot of factors. They might be helping you, they might not. There's too many factors for me to answer that with such a short question, or to really try to give you good advice on that with such a small amount of information. But as far as them putting you out of ketosis, probably not. I wouldn't really worry about that. All right, next question. How much does your testosterone levels drop when you get very lean as a natural athlete? Do testosterone boosters help to mitigate this? You just asked the question like how long is a piece of string. It varies massively from person to person. and how lean they get and what methods they use to get there. Will your testosterone drop if you get lean enough? Yes. How much? It's hard to say. It might be different for you than it is for your friend. You could have you and your friend can start at the same body fat, diet down both to 5% body fat, and one of you might literally have 2 to 3 times the testosterone level that the other one has, even though both of you lowered. It's not a straightforward number that we can just throw out there like that. However, will the testosterone boosters help? Probably not. Testosterone boosters have never consistently in studies been shown to boost testosterone significantly. And the few of them that have, it's not been consistent, and it's not been elevated across the board. It's always been sometimes little spikes and things. And again, the data's never been really good on this. So people who are saying that it is are trying to sell you something. So no, test boosters are really unlikely to help. All right, next question. Can you explain lat involvement in the bench press? Many elite lifters allude to the contribution made by the lats while benching. They're basically just a stabilizer and let you pull your scapula together. Do lats help on the bench? Maybe a little bit on the raw bench. Is it going to be enough to add? Could going from not training your back at all to training your back a lot add 100 pounds to your bench? No. We're talking a very small amount. Lats can maybe help you pop it off the chest a little better and maybe put 5 pounds on your bench at the most. They're not really used as anything but a stabilizer in the exercise. Now, that being said, why is this rumor out there? It's because of equipped bench pressing. It's not due to raw benching. Equipped lifters require their lats to bench press because they have to pull the bar into their chest, because a lot of times when you have a bench shirt on, a 400-pound barbell isn't heavy enough to touch your chest. The shirt is so stiff that it takes more than 400 pounds of force or more than 500 pounds of force to actually compress the shirt enough for the barbell to touch your chest. And so a lot of these guys have to actually use their lats to row the bar down to them, because the 400 or 500 pounds of weight plus gravity isn't enough force to compress the shirt. So they're actually having to row the barbell to their chest to get it to actually touch. So that's the big reason you see so much talk of lat involvement in doing rows and weighted pull-ups and stuff to help with your bench press and elite powerlifting. All right, next question. Push-pull legs rest, push-pull legs rest. Running a cycle like this for 5 months with 1 session a week, focused on heavy lifting 3 to 5 reps, the other session hitting 8 to 12 reps. Is this a viable method for an intermediate lifter? Look, guys, I've told you guys before, I don't like push-pull leg setups like this. They're fine if that's really the way that you enjoy training. It's just not the most efficient way for most of you to reach your goals. You're going to reach your goals much faster doing something with a higher frequency per body part, unless you're using a hefty dose of drugs. Now, if you're on hefty dose of drugs, this is probably perfectly acceptable. But for guys who are drug-free, it's just not the fastest way to reach your goals. And what I've never understood with push-pull legs ideas is that why you need a separate legs day. I mean, I could understand push-pull off, because squats are a push and deadlifts are a pull. Those are your leg exercises. So I've never really understood the need to have a separate leg day unless you're just wanting to get more deadlifting and squatting in, because you're going to squat on your push day, deadlift on your pull day, and do both on the leg day. I don't know. But I don't ever see anyone writing push-pull legs that way. So I've never understood why they break it up that way, but to each their own. I just don't understand the logic behind the type of training or what people think that they're getting out of it. It just seems like a really inefficient way to split things up. That's just my opinion. So, but do whatever makes you happy with that. Remember, with any sort of split, even though we could argue all day about what's the most viable from a physiology perspective, if you enjoy doing something and you're motivated to do it consistently, you might do better on something that you're actually motivated to do all the time because you enjoy it, versus something that you don't like that might actually be better from a physiology perspective. So it really comes down to just personal preference, but I'm just stating that I don't like this type of split. I don't think it's really effective outside of guys who are using hefty doses of drugs. All right, next question. Do you keep all your gains when you have trained a lagging body part more frequent and with more volume during a certain period, and then return back to low volume, low frequency training for that body part? Yeah, you should keep your gains. And in fact, if you were to specialize in bringing up a weak body part for a while by doing extra frequency and volume for it, and it works, when you back things down, there's no reason you can't continue to make gains. If you're still continuing to put progressive tension and progressive overload on a muscle, it should continue to grow irrespective of what method you used to get it to that size previously. So you could still, through training it sufficiently, not only keep your gains, you should be able to make it grow further in the long term after you finish the specialized type of training. So I don't understand why people would think that it would shrink down. So if you've, done lots of work for your biceps to bring them up, and then you scale back the amount of work you're doing, but you're still progressing on it, you're still focused on getting stronger on the bicep exercises over time, even with less volume and frequency, why wouldn't you think that they would continue to grow over time? All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.